So the question is, should abortion be legal in the last trimester? In other words, should a woman be legally allowed to have an abortion in the last 3 months of her pregnancy? Okay, so same rule. I'm going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move. Only then move. So be really good if you put it in your mind now so no one would be influenced by anybody else. You got it?
Yes.
That strongly agree. That strongly disagree. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Okay. Tell them why you disagree that abortion should be allowed in the last trimester.
I think it's a pretty difficult subject in general. Of course, it's the woman's body that we are talking about. So I get why in the first weeks it should be allowed to have an abortion, but we also should keep in mind then, like with exceptions, of course, like when there was rape included or something, but the woman took the risk to have this child when she had consensual intercourse, and in the last trimester the child is almost born. So it's murder generally.
Okay.
Born.
Okay, so what did you hear her say?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. So repeat loud, just in one sentence, your argument for him.
Okay, one second to think about it.
Take your time.
I think it's important to keep in mind that this child that you're giving birth to in 2 months or 3 months or 1 month, this is life. So I don't see this really from a religious point. I see it more from an ethical point, that you have a life to be born, a person to be born, and you kill this, you take this life.
Did you hear her?
A little. So she said basically that's nearly a life, and we should keep that in mind, basically.
Is that right?
So I said that basically you said it's nearly a life, then we should keep that in mind.
Can you respond to that?
So first, I'm not a woman, at least not born, and I don't want to infringe on anyone's right. So my belief is that everyone should decide for themselves. Like each of them should decide when and if they want to. And I think if the woman, for example, her situation changes and she, so let's say at the start of the pregnancy she wanted it, she could take care of the child, and then her situation changes, for example she loses her job, her place, basically everything. I wouldn't condemn her if she terminated the pregnancy, because I believe with all my heart that if you cannot take care of the baby in every way possible, you shouldn't have that.
Okay. I'm coming to you in a moment. What about his argument, if you cannot take care of the baby in every way possible, then you should get an abortion, including at the 8th month?
I strongly agree at first that you should never condemn a woman because she's having an abortion. But when you have 2 or 3 or 1 month until birth, you can just wait for this period, have the baby, and you can, it's not easy to do that, but we should think about then giving the child away. This is an option as well. You have to decide between giving a child away, having a very a very bad birth. It's pretty exhausting for the mother, of course, but the other option is it's murder of a child. It's murder of a life.
How come you're not on the strongly disagree line?
Because I think there are exceptions at first that we should keep in mind, like when when there are medical reasons for the mother not to have this birth.
Okay,
there are reasons like rape.
So you're not on that line because of exceptions. Like there could be something that would come up that you would say, okay, 8 months in, the woman should be legally allowed to have an abortion.
Yes, and maybe the psychological state of the mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why you're on the agree that that a woman should be allowed to have an abortion in the last trimester.
It's a woman's body, and no one should be able to say anything about it. And if the woman can't raise the baby after the baby was born, she shouldn't have it. She shouldn't have the baby. Like the baby needs an environment to raise well, and if she can't have that environment, so she shouldn't have it.
Okay, so I think I understood I think I understand everybody's arguments. I have a couple of questions. Do you think a woman should be allowed to get an abortion up to the day before she's allowed to give birth?
That is like a trick question. And I don't know. Like as I
Okay,
said,
the week before.
as I said, if she cannot take care of the baby, like when she realizes that, I think as soon as she realizes it, then she should terminate it. But like she mentioned adoption. My sister is adopted. I have one, and to be honest, it was such a weird experience. Like, for starters, in here, the adoption process long.
In Romania.
Yeah. Not only that, the conditions. For example, right after the revolution here in '89, they were gruesome. Like, if you went to I don't know how to say it in English, a childcare place like that,
Okay.
for orphans, awful. Like, wouldn't change them. Rashes, they were basically awful. Like they were coming from war.
Oh, jeez.
So my mother saw that when she adopted my sister. She told me never to adopt. Plus, there is
Never to adopt. Why?
why our experience was really awful. Like
Your sister? Are you close to your sister now?
no, we don't talk in like 5 years at least.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, not your fault.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you a question. So, is there anything you could tell her to move her just one line to the slightly disagree? What would you need to hear from them for you to move there? Loud for them.
Okay. I think I need to hear an argument why it is not murder to kill a child in the last trimester.
Can you provide her that argument? Why it is not?
Hear her.
Yeah, a lot of noise. Why it is for her to move to the
Yes.
slightly disagree, she would need you to tell her why it's not murder.
I think the woman won't be able to raise the child.
Can you hear
So
it? Loud.
the woman won't be able to raise the child, and the baby will have a bad life. Maybe the baby won't be happy or healthy.
She wants to know why it's not murder.
So it's not about the fact that it's not murder. Like,
You think it is murder?
yeah, basically it is. Like, I consider that if you end an innocent life, it's considered murder. No matter the age. So, like, if you have the right to terminate an ill person's life, for example, if they just stay in the hospital like a legume, or they suffer every day, I think you are allowed to terminate a child's life instead of letting him suffer either in your house or other people's houses.
So you think sometimes the benefits of murder outweigh and I'm just trying to make sure I understand this, the benefits of, if you don't want to call it murder, termination or what have you, in the ninth. What is it with all these, like there is a constant...
It's the center. This is like the most full of noise.
I mean, what is
place.
this, like constant police and ambulances? Okay, but anyway, okay. what would you need to hear from her to move you to one line over, and what would you need to hear from her to move you one line over? What would you need to hear from her?
So, like, if she was 100% sure that not
Tell
killing
her,
the child.
tell her.
So I said, if you are 100% sure that not terminating the child's life and placing him either in adoption or raising it yourself would lead to that child to be happy and not have lots and lots and lots of trauma, then I would move even to your place. But if you are not 100%, then I'm not moving.
Is that reasonable, what he said?
I don't think so.
Okay. Tell him why.
So I think you can never be sure that a child will be happy, no matter if it comes directly in a family that loves the child, for example, because there can always happen some family tragedies. You never know how life will play you. And to decide just because you are not 100% sure that a child will be totally happy to decide to kill it instead is quite a drastic way to put it, in my opinion. Maybe I'd say something else.
Sure.
Okay.
Tell him anything you want to tell him.
So I'm sorry about your brother that he wasn't raised properly. Oh, sorry, sister. She wasn't raised properly in the first years. But I think when we speak about this, it depends a lot about national differences, because I have an adopted cousin myself, and she was adopted, I think, after 1 or 2 years, and she was quite happy in the family, quite well integrated. And I know from my country that you can have also a pretty good life in the first years. So I think it's not. It has nothing to do with should we have an abortion or not. It has something to do with the system in the countries that should change.
Is there anything I should have asked you that I did not ask you? Is everybody satisfied that the line they're on is the line they should be on? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.